everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Reza and today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 books that I would recommend to a friend. These are books that I have gone back to multiple times, books that have made me cry, books that have made me laugh, books that would stand the test of time in a sense, books that I've read at a certain point in my life and it definitely changed and shifted who I was. The first book I would suggest that you go out and buy and read is The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini. I know there's a movie out as well. I haven't watched the movie yet, which I think I'm really grateful for that I read the book first. This book is definitely one of those stories you want to read before you watch. Just because the book is so descriptive, the way the author writes is beautiful. It feels like you're transported to Afghanistan. It feels like you're on the journey with these characters. It is intense in some scenes. Some scenes are so real and so vivid. It feels like you're right there with them. And what I also enjoyed about The Kite Runner is just it talks about friendship, it talks about shame, guilt, betrayal, and it talks about life in such a raw and real way that I hadn't read in a really long time. I love the journey that we go on with the characters, and I just love how we go back and we get to really see the full story of Amir and Hassan and their friendship. So it's actually a book that a friend suggested I read after she heard what I enjoyed reading, and that is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I remember when I started reading this, I was like, this is me in a book. It is young adult teenager-esque. So I think why I like this book is because it talks a lot about the universe. It talks about 2 teenagers meeting on one day and how their lives move so quickly in this one day by meeting and really building a connection and then realizing that they're not necessarily meant to be, and that although they are meant to be, it's not the right time. So it's not they're not meant to be, it's just they're not meant to be right now. And I love how the story speaks about the stars and the universe and the planet and how it connects with the characters and what they're going through. I love the background story of other minor characters and how we find out about Natasha, the main character's dad, and her family, but we also learn a lot about Daniel's family and how their families also shaped who they were and shaped the idea of their thinking, and also shaped their thinking, shaped, the way they look at life. And it also just talks about how choices that you make in life have a ripple effect and how they affect other people. It speaks about just having hope and faith that when you meet someone that you might meet them again. It is beautiful. Again, this also has a movie. I would not recommend the movie that much. I did watch it in cinema. I felt like a deflated balloon. I was like, is this all? Because the book is just so good. It really just touches you. It reaches into your heartstrings. And I really enjoyed this book. And I think the reason I enjoyed this book is because I really am a big fan of this lovely book. This is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I never know how to say authors' names. But The Alchemist, let me put this down. Do I need to say more? This is the type of book that everyone tells you to read and you're like, no, not today. But this is the book that you should read. I have a friend who read it, she disliked it, and I was like, how can you know it? I feel like there's certain things in life when someone says they don't like that thing that you love, you're like, how? But The Alchemist is one of those books that I feel like everyone should read. It won't necessarily change your life like it changed mine, but it is a really beautiful story. But it's very difficult to understand at the beginning. So it's one of those books you need to keep reading to really understand and to really grasp what exactly is happening. But basically it talks about this boy named Santiago who goes on an adventure trying to figure out his dreams, trying to figure out who he is as a person, trying to understand his fate and his spirituality. And I just think this is the type of book that makes you stop and ponder. And I go back to The Alchemist multiple times just because of the different quotes in it, because of the way I felt when I read it. I felt like I was at a stage in my life where I was like, is this it? Is this all that I need to do in life? Is wake up, go to work, come home, clean, eat, go to bed, you know? Is there anything else? And The Alchemist just reminds you that ultimately, if this is your life, this is your life. And maybe your life is to follow your dream, and maybe your dream is not what you thought your dream was going to be. I know when I was reading, I had a set dream of what my life was going to be. But then as I read the book, I was like, but maybe that's not the dream I'm supposed to live. And so it really makes you think. Like, I don't want to explain it too much because I want you to open it up and go on this journey. This book is a book that I picked up while I was at a conference, and it's called Lean In, Woman, Work and the Will to Lead by Sheryl Sandberg. At this conference, it was a leadership conference that I was at. She was one of the speakers, and I remember listening to her talk about women and working and being a feminist in many senses. And I remember listening and being like, whoa, you know when you listen to someone speak and you're like, that's what I've been wanting to hear, that's what I want to hear, it's gonna change my life, but basically Sheryl Sandberg is the chief operating officer of Facebook, or she used to be, and she wrote this book just talking about how when she became a mother, how difficult it was to become a mother, and how it was difficult to be a mother and to be a working woman, how women are always seen as, we need to take care of the kids, we need to stay at home, but that's not what we want for our life anymore necessarily. Nowadays, we want to have the kids and the family, but we also want to have the job, and we want to be able to do what we need to do. We don't just want to do, we don't want to just be in the motherhood box. We want to work, we want to be part of society, and she just talks about the frustrations that women have to go through in the workplace and in life in order to just for women just to have an equal footing in life. And so this is a book that if you feel like you can't have it all, lean in, read this book. It is so good. I loved it so much. And last but not least, one of my all-time favorite books is another orange cover. This is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F by Mark Manson. This is a self-help book in many senses, but it's also not at all, not even a little bit, because a lot of self-help books tell you that you need to be positive, you need to look at the good side, don't complain, be a good person, smile. That's basically what a lot of self-help books tell us to do, to look on the bright side. And this book basically tells you, forget this whole idea that positivity and good things are going to come to your life and everything's honky-dory or should be honky-dory all the time, and that everything should be happy-go-lucky. Get real. Life is not like that. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I enjoyed this book thoroughly because it was a reminder that we're always thinking of the next thing. We're always thinking of the way ahead future or what other people are going to think of us, instead of just living our lives. Newsflash, we need to live our lives. And the last chapter of this book, I remember reading it, and I still read it some days, and it just makes me cry. It makes me so sad, because in the end, we all die. And that's pretty sad, but it just means, like, if you get to the end of your life and you die, and you look back and you realize you've never got to do any of the things you wanted to do, or you were always looking to be happy and make sure that everyone else was good, and made this whole idea of what you thought life was going to be, in the end we all die. And we only have one life, and we need to live it to the fullest in the best way we possibly can. And he says, like, we should stop caring what other people say. We need to stop caring what the world says we need to look like, or what the world says we need to do, or what the world says we should act like. But we should rather just live our lives and honestly just be ourselves. What I also enjoy is that this book reminds us that you're not always going to be the winner. Sometimes you are going to be the loser. Newsflash, it is reality. And we've been taught all of our lives that we need to be winners all the time, or everything needs to be great, and relationships should always be happy, you know. It's always going to be like that. It's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. And you're not going to really be, you know, smooth sailing all your life. And this is just a reality check. It's just a slap in the face. Not like a slap, but like a get it right, you know, get straight. Understand this. And he makes you look yourself in the eye in the mirror and just make you realize, like, what are you doing with your life? Like, how are you looking at your life? How are you responding to your life? So it's a good read. All of these books have definitely changed my life. I've read them books in pivotal moments in my life, and I think that's why I lean towards these books as books that I recommend to friends, books that I like talking about, books I like bringing up in conversation, because they're just really good reads and they really just change your life. So if you've read any of these books before, please let me know down below what your thoughts are. If you haven't read any of these books, tell me which one you're going to pick up and which one you're going to read next, because I highly recommend. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye.